Welcome to episode 276 of The Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast, presented by Alt. And yes, this is going to be the best episode ever because we have Clutch or Kick, a very special Clutch or Kick to get to, and also our first official monthly Ask Us Anything. So if you are watching live on Twitch or YouTube, you can still get your questions in the chat, and we will answer them towards the end of the show. And of course, we have a light e-news to get to wrap things up. But before we get to any of that, let me tell you about the show sponsor in Alt Esports. You can check them out, altesports.com. And you can even scroll down and you will see the fancy TCR. It's a red little panel under collections. You can click on that and see a 101 Burglars hoodie and pick that up for yourself as temperatures are dropping somewhere in the world, not here in Texas, but somewhere in the world. I am told it's supposed to get cold, and you will need a hoodie, and the 101 Burglars hoodie, brought to you by Alt and TCR, is the best money can buy. Now, I get this question a lot. I'm going to actually, the AMA is not till later in the show. I'm going to do one right now. I get asked all the time, Anuj, Tim, you are criminally attractive and you're married. How do you keep the ladies off of you? And it's really simple. So, of course, when I'm going out to the grocery store, to the club, anywhere, they flock to me. Ladies, Anuj, I can't go anywhere. Ladies,
I'm a witness to this. It just happened.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. They flock to me. I'm like, ladies, I'm married. I have a kid. They don't care.
It's like that. It like provokes them more.
It's like a mental thing. It's like, ooh, a challenge, right? I say, all right, fine. So you know what I do? I take
them 5 minutes
off. I take off my alt clothes, and instantly the women vanish. It was never me they were attracted to begin with. They wanted me for the alt shirt. They wanted me for the hat. They wanted me for the 101 Burglars hoodie.
You don't think it was that they saw you naked?
Well, the clothes help. That's a fat man tactic. You leave the lights off, clothes on. That's the fat man way. But it was really the alt. They wanted the alt merch, and you can get it yourself and be a magnet to the opposite preferred sex of your choice, because it is 2020. altesports.com. Go ahead and check them out and tell them the Center Ring sent you.
Hey, this is Daps from Energy. You're listening to TCR.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Center Ring Esports Podcast, presented by Alt, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. Yes, I already did that in the other intro, but that's okay. Never hurts to say the truth twice. And in fact, just to reiterate the point, this is going to be the best episode ever. Have a lot to get to and so much time to do it. It's ridiculous. Go ahead and follow us on the Center at Twitter, at the Center Ring. Get everything you in there. Get for future Ask Us Anything. You can get your questions there. Slide into the DMs or just message us either way. You can do all that on Twitter. And of course, our Discord link is in the description as well. So you can go there and do this the same. I will be your captain for this journey into esports. My name is Tim. Hello. And alongside me, as always, the very stylish, the very brown, but my very friend, it's Anuj.
Brown friend with the white kid. You haven't seen him in probably like a month or so now. He hasn't tanned at all.
He's just getting whiter.
He's like getting whiter. He's looking more and more like my wife by the day. I'm starting to think we should consider some sort of testing. I'm like starting to. I knew I was out of my league to begin with, but I thought I was one of the lucky few. Now I'm starting to question it a little bit.
Are you ever worried that in life, like in school, when they're like looking for like a Mr. Bajaj, they're just never gonna assume he's the one?
Based on what I see right now, that will be an issue, especially if it's on his birth certificate. We put Asian down for ethnicity, and so that'll also be fun for him to.
You might have to get that one changed.
We're not changing it. I already told her it's not happening. It's not. She goes, "You asked me when I was drugged up. Still, that's not fair." I said, "Life's not fair, babe."
On ours, we have Native American, so because he is Native American, so there's that. There's that. I know. To peel back the curtain, my wife desperately wants to adopt a Chinese baby because white girls be tripping, and I'm trying to explain to her. I mean, I'm all for adoption. Like that's always like number one rule when we got married is we got to adopt at least one kid. But my last name's very Polish. Very Polish. So I just want her to be aware of that.
I don't think that for that instance, the kid's not going to care. He's going to be happy to have a home.
The kid will be happy. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
in class, it will be like one of the first, like first day of school traditions.
I'm your test dummy. I'm your test dummy.
Like,
See how it pans out. You got a couple years before you adopt. See how it pans out. I'll let you know how hard it is.
yeah, it's a first day of school tradition will just be them having to explain. No, my dad is Indian. My dad is
Like,
Indian.
are you sure that's your dad?
All right. Well, we have a wonderful show to get to. Quick story time before we do, though.
I got one too, actually,
Ooh.
so I'll go after you.
All right. Mine's quick. Follow-up story first. Do you remember, this had to have been like early on in the pandemic, I asked the question if I was a big jerk because there was a guy outside the grocery store where I live playing a violin, and I wanted to give him the money.
You were wrong in this instance. I completely remember this. Yes.
That's still debatable. But when I walked past him, he wasn't playing. So I was like, well, I'm not going to give you money because you're not playing right now.
Because the dude had to eat for like half a second. He'd been out there playing 43 hours straight.
If you're a showman, you got to show. Fast forward. I asked my wife, man, whatever happened to that guy playing? I wonder whatever happened to him. I hope he's okay. And she goes, oh, no. Someone posted on our neighborhood Facebook group. It was a scam the whole time. They said, do not give this guy money. He goes around to all the grocery stores and he hops into his Mercedes. Now, I'm not saying...
Found a way to make a living.
I'm not saying people in Mercedes can't fall on hard times, but I'm saying people in Mercedes with like high quality electric violin probably isn't hard enough to where you have to panhandle in front of a grocery store in the suburbs.
But does he have a sign saying like, feed me, I'm poor?
Oh yeah, it was a sign saying like, need money for rent, which I guess technically is true. Like it's up to us to be like, yeah, but
maybe he's putting all of his money towards his car.
I mean, if you got a Mercedes, probably got to pay that off. But so redemption, I am not a big jerk. So all of you who said who I was
at the time,
look at yourself in the mirror.
You feel vindicated.
I feel vindicated.
Yeah. That whole story could be a lie from Neighborhood app, but this is like you're buying it 100%.
Doesn't matter. Fake news.
I see what you're
Fake
doing
news.
There. Okay, my quick story. This is also real fast. At work today, it's like they were speaking to me, Tim. They sent out a company-wide email, and I work for a pretty large company, right? Like we have 5,000 plus employees. Company-wide Call of Duty event. Ooh. It's Gamers for Cancer. Ooh. 5v5 search and destroy. You can also do there's 3 games to compete in if you wanted to. It's 5v5 search and destroy, 3v3 Rocket League, or 2v2 some Fortnite setup. I don't know exactly. I didn't even really read it, to be honest with you, on the Fortnite.
Keep your cancer.
I didn't know too much about it.
Keep your cancer. I'm not playing Fortnite.
Or you could sign up for any of them. It has to be company people. So we got our squad of 5 together for Call of Duty Search and Destroy.
So it has to be company people.
It has to be.
Could you
people.
finagle like one of our pro friends in there?
I wish.
Like, could you be like, hey,
so somebody already asked right when we were creating the team, because there's only like 4 of us in the group at the time, and he's like, can I call a friend in? And it's like very clearly listed on there, like Apex employees. So
what if they hire? I mean, you hire people. Can't you just hire Clayster for like a day?
Just get him on 1099.
Be like, hey man, it's for charity. Could you do this for us real quick?
I'm feeling confident, like in myself. I don't know how my team will perform, but I'm feeling confident in myself.
I'm assuming you can run PC, right?
Yeah, it's cross-platform for all 3 platforms.
All right.
Yeah.
This is where the
I
true
would
tests
feel
come
less
in.
confident if it was like Warzone, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah,
But
because
like
Warzone,
Search and
anything
Destroy,
can happen.
hey,
If you're
as
going
long
up,
as-
and I assume you're going up against other people at your work,
yeah, all work people only.
I would feel pretty confident as well. I want to know. I want a report back on this one.
Yeah, October 17th.
This is the true test. So we were asked earlier in the week too about the Pittsburgh Knights Boomer tournament. This is the true test because, as we said back when they first announced it, not all boomers are created equal. Like that tournament, I think was what, minimum age 28 years old. It's like, yeah, there's a big difference between 28 and 30 with a kid. Like for me at 20, like even if you're 28 with a kid, there's a
we need a boomer with dad.
Yeah, we need a gamer dad tournament. So that's really, maybe we need to do that. Set up the Centering Gamer Dad tournament presented by Alt/Dallas Empire /Envy.
We need Mike could play.
Yeah, he's a gamer dad. We could get him involved.
Gamer dad.
Nate from Alt, we can get him involved.
Yeah, his kiddo just turned 7, so happy birthday to him today. I think we just
thought of something. We should probably stop talking about it so we don't give anyone else ideas. Because I think
let's bag that one up. We'll come back to it. I'm excited about the work tournament. I'm nervous about my friends. None of them play MP. They are all Warzone players strictly.
Well, and let alone MP, but Search and Destroy. That's another animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gamer Pops tournament. It might happen. Might happen. Well, good luck. I'm excited to hear back. This could be great for your ego or absolutely awful.
Yeah, well, it's just funny because people at my work are wide age range. We hire people straight out of college at like 21, so there's going to be some, you're like some pretty hardcore gamers.
Yeah, no, you're going to get just the natural, they put in 40 hours a week on the game, you put in 40 hours the last 4 months.
We'll see who's really been working during work hours.
That's really what this is about. This is really just so they can
You don't want to win that tournament.
Yeah, this is just so they can fire whoever's winning. That's kind of cool, though. Interesting.
Yeah, it's neat. It's exciting.
All right, so let's get to Clutch or Kick, because we have a few to get to, and then we will get to the AMAs. So if you're listening live and you have questions, throw them in the chat. Doesn't have to be esports related. Could be anything about life in general. But throw them in the chat if you're listening live. If you're listening to the podcast, get it next time, because we're going to do these monthly. So then, with that being said, first Clutch or Kick. I will start. This game, I'm asking you if this game is going to make it an esport. Not be the next big esport, not overtake any esport, just be an esport and be successful at it. Now that could change your definition, right? I will start with, I had to Google the name of the game because as I was putting my note in, I forgot what the game was called. I'm talking about Rogue Company. I can spit the facts out, or I can let you do your pitch and then I can do mine.
However you want to go. It's your call.
I'll let you go first.
Okay, I mean, I didn't put much thought into this. Okay, so I'm just gonna be a little frank here. My initial thought is Kick, not because I don't think it's a good game. I just don't know where it has a spot as an esport right now. Like, I mean, maybe as they develop the game further. I just think that it might be a niche, like small community, but like the average, there's like 5 to 10,000 people viewing at any given time on Twitch for them. Um, I like what they're doing. I should say that they're very active with updates. I think they partner. They partnered with 100 Thieves. They partnered with Doc. I think that's really cool. That's a way to attract people. But when you don't see streamers necessarily playing it, and the hype level was, I thought, relatively high when it first came out, in the sense like people were looking forward to it. That's also kind of faded off a little bit. Not like Hyperscape, right? I'm not talking about that kind of faded off. I don't think it's a bad game. I just don't know if it has a place right now in esports, but hey, I would love for them to prove me wrong.
So right now there's 4.9K viewers watching on Twitch. So that gives you a little idea.
And that shouldn't be the only barometer we use.
Not.
But yeah, but that like also kind of matters, right? When you're starting to look at these things.
Of course. For example, even let's see here. Even Overwatch, which we would consider all but dead, 14,000. So Fall Guys is at 8.8 thousand. Dead game. Confirmed. Here's my thing with Rogue Company. And I think it's a kick too. I think this is going to be a kick. There are way too many red flags for me. First off, the game looked exciting when it was like revealed at E3. And then it came out in beta and available to play, and no one really realized it. They were like, oh, Rogue Company, I think I remember seeing this game at E3. It looked fun, but it never really made any huge impact. Some red flags. Maybe I'm a Debbie Downer for using these as red flags. The fact that they did partner with Doc and 100 Thieves, like, so Dr. Disrespect designed a map and it's going to be his arena, right? So the Champion Club arena. And so he'll have a map. 100 Thieves has partnered with them. They have a skin pack and everything in the game. So that, to me, it's very weird that that's a red flag. But to me, when games and developers partner with content creators early on, it makes me nervous, because then if you don't get the support of, like, if they're only playing the game because they're getting paid to, you're going to have like that Apex Legends effects where they might play it for a little bit, but the commitment isn't really there, right? Like they're going to move on, and it's just going to look even worse that you had the non-organic growth and then it drops off, right?
Yeah, and like that's assuming that they're going to be sitting there and playing this game a lot, right?
I mean, I
like,
don't see them playing it now.
Sign of like, I don't see it. All the 100 Thieves, content creators, not like pros, right? I get that they're playing their own game, but like they have a huge content creation team, and Doc only streams whatever he wants to, right? And you don't see him playing those games right now. So
yeah, like Nate is still tweeting about Warzone, so it's kind of like, okay.
And they're all still playing Warzone. Like, I feel like everybody's still kind of playing Warzone right now. And so, again, it's just also third party is like always, or third person view, I should say, not third party.
It's very
third person view is like a turnoff to me in competitive shooters. It's different in a BR. Like, it kind of works a little bit more in a BR. Still don't really like love it, but it's more acceptable. But I feel like in a competitive shooter, like the wall peeking and all that stuff, I'm not a huge fan of that.
Yeah, that's always it's very niche. A lot of people don't like it. Now, it is on other consoles, so maybe you'll get some of the people from, I don't know, maybe even like Gears of War will make that transition, right? As the Gears of War Pro scene isn't really there for all intents and purposes. Maybe they'll be attracted to a third-person arena type game. Maybe. The other, though, ultimate red flag that I just can't get around is it's Hi-Rez Studios. Like, they just are known for setting up, like, the games are there. All they have to do is send it on home, and they just somehow screw it up.
They have some games that have, like, teetered on that borderline of growth, and then they just, like, Smite comes to mind, like Smite was quite popular when it first came out, but yeah, they haven't found anything that's given them good consistency in terms of of the esports side.
So no, I mean, look, this is their game.
The verdict out there.
Smite, Paladins, Rogue Company now, and Realm Royale. Like, 3 of those 4 have all came and went at a pretty fast pace. So yeah, I'm.
Fun fact, I have the God pack for Smite, so I get all of the characters. I paid $30 for it, which is still a great deal to this day. I'm not. I played it, but $30 to get everybody was kind of cool.
When was the last time you played?
Long enough to where I don't have it on. Like, I don't even have a high res browser, do
I? High res. They've made. I'm trying to think of the other games that they've made though, because they've global. Oh yes, Global Agenda. That's another one where that's kind of the kicker right there. Global Agenda.
I don't know what that is.
Man, it was gonna be a game changer, Anuj. It was gonna be a game changer. It's one of those games though where the beta was they changed so much from beta to release. It was dead on arrival because everyone loved the beta. The game came out and it went very pay to win heavy. Like in the beta it was all there, and then in the normal game it was all behind paywalls. And everyone was like, "What the hell is this?"
I'm out. Yeah.
And it killed it. It killed it. But all right. So there's that. Also doesn't help that Rogue Company has been on both of our computers now for months. And every time we are like maybe going to go play it, we just decide to play another game instead.
Yeah, no longer have it, unfortunately. I had it for a while though, for
just
sure.
Finally pulled the trigger and uninstalled.
Yeah, I was like, it's not happening.
I'm not far behind. Not far behind. All right, next clutch or kick. So that's both kicks. All right. Per sources, NRG is looking to get into Valorant and potentially taking another 3 member of the CS community as Som from Gen G, Daps, who just left Gen G. Daps, the liner, by the way.
Hey, this is Daps from NRG. You're listening to TCR.
Boom, we're one step ahead.
One ahead. Future prediction there. Daps goes to NRG just so we don't have to re-record the line. Daps, famously the only person in the history of the show to ever ask if he was going to get paid to do a liner. This right here, folks.
Hey, this is Daps from NRG. You're listening to TCR.
He asked if he was going to get paid for that. Shoot your shot.
No, but...
Shoot your shot.
No, but you can do it if you want to. All right. I'm in.
I just loved it too because that was you who got it, and you were still kind of new to the whole like walking up to ask for a liner. I was like, yeah, dude, just walk up to him and say, hey, can I get a liner for my podcast? They never had an issue with it. And he's like, do I get money? Like, no. Like, what I wish you would have asked, like, how much do you think you should get?
We should record some of these interactions.
Well, you know, the golden rule is always just record as you're going up to them, so you get everything. It's juicy, but yeah, we should. Like, how much do you think you should have gotten paid? Yeah, Jazzy Joss says in chat, he sounds depressed.
Hey, this is Daps from NRG. You're listening to TCR.
Yeah, he sounds depressed because 5 seconds before that, Anuj told him, no, you're not going to get paid for it.
I think this was like right after the elimination too, and like the ESL Pro League.
Yeah, the ESL Pro League. They might have just been eliminated or at least lost, but I'm like, no, dude. This is a 5-second clip. I'll give you 5 cents. Anyways, no knock on Daps. So hopefully wish him the best of luck. But so who? Som, Daps, and now formerly or currently retired from CS, most recent, is I'm a Pet, aka Chet. So as a coach, obviously. So the clutcher kick here. You could almost go for a 2-for-1 here. Are you excited for NRG to get with this type of roster in Valorant? And
maybe we just leave that as the clutcher kick.
Okay.
Honestly, I like that better.
You like that more than the one we have? All right.
Yeah,
I like live production. Live production. Yeah, I like it.
No, I like that more. I like that worded better than what I have. We can save that for another time.
Yeah. So for me, I'll go first on this one.
Yep.
First off, I'm going to say clutch because NRG getting into a scene at this point, I think people need to remember NRG is not the same NRG of 5 years ago. Like I would think back when they were kind of like the lower tier NACS, they didn't really get a whole lot of respect as an esports org in the sense of like no one viewed them to be this big powerhouse of an esport, right? That's not really the case anymore.
No, they're a powerhouse for sure.
Like Andy Miller has really turned that around, and now with Hex, right?
Yeah.
To give credit where credit's due, Hex has also made that brand very cool. Not gonna lie, I saw an old NRG jersey the other day though. I am a fond of their old colors, the pink, black,
like that.
white.
No. Much cooler now.
The logo's good. I like the logo, but the colors, I did like the colors. I was a sucker for the colors. But besides that, like you gotta think, NRG is San Francisco Shock and the Chicago Huntsmen. Like two very big brands, former champion, always a favorite. Like they're not like if they're entering a scene, it's because they believe in it. Before they were kind of your stereotypical esports org where they're like, well, we got to get into everything to get our brand noticed. Just get it out there. It doesn't matter if we're losing money. We got to get NRG out there. And now it's kind of like, no. We don't need to do that anymore. We've earned the respect of the public. We got to really hit our shots, right? There's a reason they sold their roster in Counter-Strike because they were probably losing money. And
they had a good roster in Counter-Strike.
Yes. Yeah.
Like a very good team.
Yes. So, and to Josh's point, like they got Shaq money. Yes, they do have Shaq money. A-Rod? Is A-Rod involved with NRG? Some baseball player. Jeter?
There's like a handful of like athletes involved.
There's a handful. NRG, so not only though do they have their money, the other side of that coin is they also have the responsibility of not upsetting them, right? You also can't lose their money. Just because you have celebrity money doesn't mean you want to lose the celebrity's money. So I think it's huge. I think this is a clutch.
They're run by the right people.
Yeah.
Like you said initially, right?
Yep.
You have Hex
From
and
top
Andy
down
Miller at the top, and they're both like just experts in what they're doing, right?
Yeah,
Andy
it's a
Miller
shame they're never
going to
win because of Hex. The TCR
Hex
curse.
is a genius branding, mogul, and you combine them. That's a pretty lethal combination.
TCR curse though, they're never going to win. But
no, yeah.
Very professional.
They could be good. Although we don't count Shock.
Well, no. Shock was before Hex. Shock was before Hex. Shock was a year ago today, by the way. Congratulations, Shock's year anniversary from winning. Yeah, and just to get to the players, is this like the roster that's going to win it all for them?
Well, clutch or kick for like the first. If those are the first three signings, would you consider this to be like a good entrance into the scene?
A good entrance, yes. And it's being heavily carried by I'm a Pet, in my opinion.
Sam is a great young talent too, though.
Yeah.
Sam. So I'll tell you why I'm going to jump in here then. Let me just.
Oh, yeah. Go. I gave my answer clutch. It's clutch either way.
This is a clutch for me for sure. You're right. I'm a Pet is a huge addition to any organization. I think he's just a smart individual. I think he'll do great in Valorant. Like he's, smart people figure out how to make things work out. That's important to note. And I think he'll be great. But let's talk about the players here.
Yeah.
As much as Daps, people have this love-hate relationship with them, right? You look at him like somebody that grooms young NA talent, and then they kind of get bought out by the bigger teams when they're kind of ready to be on the big stage, right? Daps has got a good mind in that sense. He's average aimer, but good game sense, good in-game leader. That's important. So now you've set yourself up with an IGL that was considered good in Counter-Strike, right? Like we can't look at Daps, the Counter-Strike pro, and be like, oh, he was good, but he never found a way to really do it. Well, shit, Shazam's out here making top dollar.
That's everyone minus Skadoodle and Sinatra and Valorant at the moment. Yeah, and
I think Steel, Nitro, like there's a couple.
You could say that though about 98% of the pros in Valorant is, well, we'll see what happens. Like
and that's how I want to, make it clear that's how I'm grading what I see from this roster.
Yeah.
Sam to me is a A-tier player in Counter-Strike. Doesn't mean he's the best, but he belongs in the conversation of he deserves to play at a tier 1 level, right?
Right.
Daps kind of teetered that borderline, which means he should be an above average Valorant player.
Yeah.
And so I really like this start, especially when now you go out to recruit and you tell people, look, we have an experienced IGL, we have an experienced coach, we have a young star in the sense in Psalm. Y'all got to come in and just be like aimers and be able to ball out with them, you know? And
Yeah.
so I think they're going to round out the roster nicely, honestly. I think Chet probably would have some people in mind going into it. And so, yeah, I think this is a great entrance also, Tim, if you think about it, as this is a late entry into
Yeah.
Valorant. As young of a game as Valorant is, this is considered a late entry into the scene. And so to come out swinging like this, I think that's pretty impressive.
I agree. No, I agree. Fun facts about Daps that now that I'm looking at his Wikipedia page. Did you know his last name is Steele?
Oh,
Fun fact. Fun fact.
thank you.
Also, fun fact. I completely forgot he played on Cloud9.
Yeah, I was like, what was it?
It's
How
like-
long was it? Not that long ago either, was it?
I mean, it was just the tail end of last year from July to
Yeah.
December. He was
Yeah.
only on there for,
Yeah,
4 months or whatever that is, but not, completely forgot.
Those are the forgotten days of CS for Cloud9.
Yeah, that's more of a reflection of Cloud9, not Daps. Don't get that twisted. So yeah, both clutch again. Wow, we are on the same page today. Both kicks for Rogue Company, both clutches for NRG entering Valorant. The last one here, real quick. We have some patch notes, a new update, some patches.
Do these as quick clutcher kicks down the 4 individually.
Okay, all right. Some big highlights then from these latest patches. The overall question is, will we see an impact on the pro level for these changes in Valorant? First one, Jett gets a small nerf. They didn't nerf her movement or anything. It was just her ult. Clutcher kick, for me, kick. I don't think this will have an impact.
Yeah, it's just her burst fire. So it's like when they're up close, they can shoot all 5 together.
Yeah.
That was kind of going a little further out than it was intended. But no, like on the pro level, I don't
You
see
get
this being-
headshots, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like you're going to use a single click and they click heads at
Yeah.
that level. So I don't see it being that big of an issue on the higher level.
Viper had a little buff here. Really want people to play Viper. She will start now with full toxic as opposed to half in her little fuel bar. And Snakebite and Viper Pit both buffed. She now moves faster in her
While
pit
casting it,
and something else. Shoots faster, but I know she moves faster.
she like pulls out her gun immediately after she casts it. She comes out with the gun instead of like you have to equip the weapon essentially.
Okay.
Click the weapon. So
I'm going to say if the pros used her, this might be a clutch, but this isn't enough for the pros to start using her. I never felt like her in her pit, in her ult, was an issue. Like, I didn't felt like that's why people weren't playing her. She's not pro scene friendly. You have to commit too much to her equipment. Once you drop a wall, it's like, okay, well, this wall is only good now at A site, as opposed to smokes and things you can kind of hold off and commit. So it's a tad different. It's a kick because they just don't play her.
yeah, I mean, okay, I'm going to take a little different approach on this. I'm going to say it's a clutch because I think we may at least see her be attempted to be used. And that would be an improvement from like no usage whatsoever, right?
I guess you're right.
I think
Anything
starting
is
off
better than
with
what they do
full
now.
toxic is a big bonus move because that allows you can do everything pre-round with her, which is a little unusual.
Yeah.
Right? You can like lay out your walls pre-round. That thing basically goes across the map. But at 50% toxin, it's not that big of a deal because you just have such a short duration. Now you double that duration. You make Snakebite bite a little bit stronger. You make her ult, like essentially when you cast it, you're running at double the speed and your weapon comes out immediately. So it gives you a little bit more of a commanding presence within the issue that you're talking about being in that. So I'm going to give it a clutch because I think we may see her be attempted to be used. Whether it's successful or not, that's to be seen. But I think this gives her an opportunity to be in pro play.
I'd like to see some changes there, so hopefully. 2 more here, super quick. Jump, land, and accuracy has increased. I think kick, this won't affect the pros because the pros don't jump and shoot. That's only us in silver and gold.
Yeah, I mean, again, that won't impact them.
No. And then the one that might, maybe a backdoor impact is the op has officially been nerfed, as we said last episode in E-News. Just kind of overall, it's gone a little slower, a little ways of the CS op. And I think this will affect Jet pros that op, which are most of them. But, I think in due time, I think this more affects Jet as a character in general, not so much the op. So I think it's clutch. I think it's definitely going to impact, you won't be able to dash and jump and do everything as quick with the op. They can adjust it, but I do think it will affect them.
So it's funny because I'm the flip-flopped on that. I think this will eliminate it more from pug play as usage, but I think Jets will still be just as strong.
Of course, but I just think it will be impacted, like the way they do
in the sense, like, so the big issue is her dash, the way she can dash away right after she shoots the gun. That ability isn't impacted, so it makes that a really strong defensive position still. And so I don't know if it's like, I think this affects more pug play and like casual usage, but as long as they don't affect Jet's movement using the op, it's not that big of a nerf because only Jet players are really the oppers on 90% of the teams, it feels like. So I'm going to say kick, that won't make a difference on
a pro level.
On the pro level.
All right, so there you have it. Clutch or kick. Will Rogue Company make it as an esport? We both said kick. We don't really have the faith in that. NRG entering Valorant, clutches, and then the patch notes for Valorant all over the place. All right, so let's get into our first ever Ask Us Anything, Anuj. Again, just a friendly reminder, we're going to do this towards the tail end of every month. So it should be, if I know how to look at a calendar, the last Thursday episode of every month, except for this one. Technically, we're still in September at the time of recording, so still good. So there's that. So if you ever want to ask us anything, doesn't have to be esports related, can be anything you want. Twitter, Discord, whatever. If you get us the question, we will answer it. So let's start with how we just have these in order. These are in no particular order. Let's go with the first one here, Anuj. Should probably get some background music for this later on. But Connor on Twitter asks, is sundress at church season officially over? Church hot. First off, church hot is never over. That's the beauty of church hot.
Yeah, church hot never ends.
Like that, it's just a different type of church hot. It's a different style. But church hot, for those who don't know, for new listeners of the show may not understand what church hot is, it's a concept made up right here on the Center Ring Esports podcast, where people generally look more attractive at church for whatever reason.
To answer Connor's question, in it's geographic question, Connor.
Yeah, because it was like 95
in Texas. No, we get that up until early November, maybe late October. It's really when those pumpkin lattes start coming out. Maybe a scarf gets thrown on occasionally at that point. But
it's like
Texas,
95.
No, in most of the rest of the country, yeah, y'all are probably winding down, if not already over.
But again, fall attire, you can still get church hot in the fall.
It never ends.
No, we don't discriminate there. So church hot never ends. Never ends. Culture bite?
Culture bite?
Bite? Culture bite on Twitter. I don't know if it was bit or bite. Never know how they go with that one. Culture bite, though. We'll go with culture bite on Twitter asks, what do you guys do for career-wise, and what was the path to get there? If you don't work in esports, what would you want to do and as what? Or what would you want? Yeah, what would you want to do and as what?
No, he goes, if you don't work in esports, would you want to?
Oh, would you want to? I'm sorry. I was adding a word there. Don't know how to read. My apologies. I'll let you go first.
Career-wise, I am a senior recruiter for Apex Systems. I've been there 11 years now. You know what? If you're a grinder, you can make bank in this job, and I'm blessed to have the job that I have. Honestly, as my daytime job, I enjoy it. Like in the sense of, if you do well in it, it rewards you. I think like any other walk in life. Now the path to get there, not complicated. Graduate college and you can apply. We'll get you in, right? You just got to be a grinder. Like it really feels like, if you haven't watched Boiler Room, That's what it feels like in our office half the time. So go watch that movie, and it gives you an idea. It gets fun. It's intense. And the second part of your question for me, I think I feel like I work in esports, right? Like we
Yeah.
get paid a certain amount to do this, right? Like we have sponsorships, and we've had expenses paid for to do a lot of the work that we do, and so we own this. That's the beauty of what Tim and I do, is this is ours, and that's nobody gives us direction. We guide each other, we work together, and I like what we have. And so if you ask me what I would want to do in esports, like I want to continue doing what we do and find a way to grow the show and get it to a larger audience, because look, we do it because we enjoy it. Like first and foremost, you don't get to 275 episodes doing something you don't enjoy. And so I truly enjoy this time, and I feel blessed to be able to do this along with my day job, like being able to manage both a wife and a kid. Like it's doable. Like you hear people say like, oh, I don't have the time. I don't have the time. If you want to do it, it's doable. And so I'm very happy with what we're doing right now.
Does make teamwork though. That being said,
I would like to be a pro player though, to answer your question truthfully. That's the one thing that I would probably want to do outside of what I'm doing, is I would love to be a pro in a video game.
Yeah. Whoa. If I make it, I would like to be a pro. So for me, my daytime career that pays the bills is I am a financial fraud analyst. It sounds a lot cooler and more exciting than what it really is. I promise you. Not that exciting. For the longest time, though, I did like 3 jobs. I did the podcast, I did my fraud analyst job, and then in the afternoons, nights, and weekends, I worked in radio. I worked at the sports radio 1310 and 96.7 FM, The Ticket, here in Dallas, Fort Worth. #1 sports radio station in the country, not a big deal. Worked there for 7 years. So I've always loved background in media and entertainment and broadcasting. Unfortunately, radio, believe it or not, does not pay the bills unless you are like a top guy. So when the kid came around just over like a year ago, I put in my notice and left the Ticket after 7 years of being there. But something had to drop, and the Ticket was more of a passion, not paying the bills. So that dropped, but thankfully, as Anuj said, still have this to fall back on to scratch that media broadcasting creativity itch. And so, yeah, it might sound like a cop-out, but I think for me, if I was to do a full-time job in esports, right, which I would obviously love to, where if I could quit my fraud job, I would love it. But it's a nice job. I give it crap. It's just like any other job, though. I like the creativity side of it, right? When we started this podcast, it was because I worked at the radio station doing sports, and I was like, well, what do I have a passion in that I could do something on an equal level as, my peers and coworkers were doing on like for a football show or whatever, baseball. Esports was that niche, and I like the creative side of it. I like for me, my brain never turns off. You can ask my wife. It drives her insane, but I'm always jotting notes down for show ideas, segment ideas, or a funny bit that we might be able to do. Anuj and I are constantly in a chat together, throwing in ideas and things like that. I like that. I like the fact that, as Anuj said, this is us. We're not the center ring presented by Cloud9 or some other org, right? As a lot of other shows are. Not saying that they're biased in any ways, but it's like, I could promise you from a professional radio standpoint, when a team is paying your bills, when they're paying for ads, it does make it a little bit more difficult to be like, this team sucks type of thing, and to be real about it. So I like the fact that, we are the common man esports show for the common man, right? We're just 2 old dudes who like esports and talk about them. And so I hope that's what the listeners feel. I hope when you're listening to the show, you kind of feel like you're with us, right? You're just part of the conversation. So that's a long way of saying that I'm kind of doing what I'd want to do in esports anyways. other than be a pro or something like that, of course. But
Yeah.
Those
That's probably the only reason you talk about it.
those days are gone. But yeah, long story short, something on the creative side. I like to create. Trey asks on Twitter, if you had to take something from a non-esport game and make it an esport, what would it be? I'll say one more thing. Can I answer one last thing for Culture Byte? As far as how you got there, the fraud job, again, that's like any other job. You apply and it's there. For the radio job, it sounds very stereotypical, but in college, I started, and yes, it's grinding. It's never giving up. I emailed so many people to get internships, and then that's how it happened. So you can DM me if you want more information on that. I would love to give advice and help out. It sounds very stereotype and kind of a throwaway answer, but yes, you do have to just commit to it, and don't feel like you're annoying someone. It's okay to annoy people if it's something you want to do. So that's that. So Trey again asks, if you had to take something from a non-esport game and make it an esport, what would it be?
I got one.
All right, go for it.
I should have looked at these questions before. I probably could have put a ton of more thought into this particular one, but
this is raw emotion.
Yeah, I mean, I think Blitzball comes to mind from Final Fantasy X.
Callback.
That was like a really, I mean, I just enjoyed it. It was hard, first of all, if you didn't know what you were doing early on. Kind of once you got the hang of it, it became fun. And so, and like back then, you were also playing a game with like what we thought at the time was these amazing graphics, and to see that arena, and you kind of just visioned playing Blitzball in that type of setting, like it was cool. So that would be neat. I think we need as an esport.
I remember playing Final Fantasy X and playing Blitzball. I don't think I had a clue what I was doing on Blitzball though.
No, it was hard to begin with. You had to like really.
Yeah. I mean, it was a sport within a game. Like it was it wasn't just like pick up and do it. That's a good one. For me, I was thinking more just a general basis, but I think there's a spot in esports. I don't know where. Maybe if esports ever did like their own Olympics, not at the Olympics, because I'm very against esports being at the Olympics. I know that's very not esports of me to say that, but it's true. If they ever had an esports Olympic, I think speedrunning would be a cool thing to see. I don't know what games they would pick. I don't know what the criteria for that.
It's so long.
Well, but no, not if it's like Mario or something. Like, I mean, they do races, you know?
Yeah.
Like for games done quick and stuff. It's like you can do a Mario, like that's what I'm saying. Like make it like a handful of games and do races to see how fast you can beat a game and whatever. Like it gets intense. I think though it would be much like track and field or something at the Olympics, where at the esports Olympics, people would get really into it and care a lot about it, and then it would go by the wayside until it comes back up again. But I think speedrunning, if done right, is people look. Since the dawn of man, people love racing. They want to see a winner and a loser. Speedrunning has that. If you do it in a race format, I think it could work. But
I got another one that came to mind real quick. I'll just throw it out there. Pod racing in Star Wars. That was also like just cool feeling. And I think if they made that like into a badass new game, although we do have Squadrons coming out, so I know that's not pod racing, but that'll be a cool little test to see how it performs in a competitive setting, because you know that's really where they want to take it. So
don't have anything like that, that's for sure. But yeah, you're right. Star Wars Squadron is getting built out like a competitive game, like 5-on-5, first person only. Like this is not for your casual.
No, it's good. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Like we'll be following and playing.
Yeah. Nate asks, few questions. Nate from Alt. What's it like to be the best? It feels great. It feels great.
It does feel good.
It feels great.
It feels like any other day.
It feels like what I feel like when I wear Alt.
That's actually.
If you ever want to know what it feels like to be the best, go to altesports.com, buy yourself some Alt clothes. That's what I feel like every single day.
That's a bonus plug right there.
For free. How do you get through the day being so handsome? I think I just answered that. I wear Alt. Can I come on your show again? Absolutely.
Agreed, 100%.
I mean, fine. He says, also, Doa and I will battle you guys in Warhammer with his Necrons he's painting.
If Tim has enough pieces for me to play, I would love to join in on this.
I love Nate because in our group chat, God bless him, he always talks about Warhammer. And I know you have no idea what he's talking about, but you do entertain him, and that's nice of you.
And it looks cool. Like, that stuff looks neat. Like, I've always been intrigued by it, but I've unfortunately never had like a group of friends that like did that stuff, you know? So I didn't grow up
weird
doing it.
Because Ronnie seems like he'd be that friend.
Ronnie was like in the back of class drawing anime. That was like his side project, you know?
Not surprised. And Josh asks in chat, how will Riot make Valorant overtake CSGO other than just your stereotypical big prize money, of course?
Involvement. That's how Riot will make Valorant overtake CSGO. They will be heavily involved in making it an amazing esport. And again, I don't know if it'll actually ever overtake CSGO. That is a very like bold statement, right? But it has an opportunity to do so because Riot is going to be heavily involved in that process.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen them do it with League of Legends. League of Legends to me is the biggest esport in the world, right? Like world-based game. It'd be hard to compete otherwise. And they know what it takes. And so that is half the battle, is knowing the kind of work you have to put in to be at the top. And they've done that. So they'll continue to update the game. The game will continuously feel fresh for incoming players. Also, like, young talent, as Tim has mentioned several times, is going to that game. If they're picking up a game today, they're probably not buying Counter-Strike because it's just so you have to pay $10 a month just to compete at the top level, in FACEIT or ESEA. And then even then, you'll never play with the pro player in those games generally because they're in their own FPL category where you have to get invited to. Valorant, you just hop in, man. If you're good enough, you can go into Radiant, and next thing you know, your matches are going to be against pro players, and so that's pretty cool. Like all these things, involvement, learning from their mistakes, give them an opportunity to be the best.
I think everything Anuj said, especially the involvement. I mean, we've already seen from pros that have switched over. They were like, I mean, hell, Hiko, right? We were talking to Drone about it, and he was like, yeah, Hiko was jokingly around saying like how, and this was early on in Valorant, saying that he's already talked more to Riot than he has with Valve his entire career in CSGO. He's already talking to Riot more about the game and gotten his feedback. So I think involvement is huge. I think that's the fact that we've seen more, the little tweaks, right, is what does it. And I know that might annoy people more or less with the constant trying to balance things out, but that's also how you have meta shifts and things like that. There's a good balance between what Blizzard did with Overwatch, where they balanced it too much, right? Blizzard balanced and patched the hell out of Overwatch, and it turned a lot of people off, right? Because they forcefully changed the meta way too often.
Yeah.
Riot is not doing that with these patches at the moment, right? They're really just listening to people and saying, okay, you think the op could adjust? Well, let's adjust it a little bit, right? Let's adjust it a little bit. We don't need to nerf the op and then buff this and then buff that. That's what Blizzard would do. Riot is teasing it, right? Just little teases here and there. I think that's huge. And it's the great equalizer, Anuj. It gets us all. Mother time. I think just eventually when a game comes around that is just enough similar, but just a little bit more attractive, a little bit more sexy, right? Valorant has that sexy factor for a new player. CSGO does not. CSGO, I think, for kids, is viewed as a boomer game. Hate to say it, but I think it is. Valorant is kind of like the new, fresh kid on the block, right?
We say Counter-Strike's been at the top for 20 years. That's 5 iterations of the game, essentially, though, right? We're not talking about CSGO. CSGO is entering its, 7th, 8th year now, if I'm not mistaken. Like, came out 2012, 2013.
It just had their birthday, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an older game now. Like, it's been out for a while. And so unless they are doing something big as they've done in the past, like releasing, going from 1.6 to Source and all these other iterations of the game that we've seen, like that's how you get really new players. You're 8 years into the game. So you got to make sure that you're keeping the ones that are there. And now that we're seeing that loss, like it's not anywhere near a shift right now. Okay.
No,
We're
no,
not
no.
anywhere near a shift right now. We're talking about what Riot's able to do. And I think in the long run, if Valve doesn't do anything in the next 2-3 years, there's a good chance Riot's pulling in better numbers at that point. Just in terms of like viewership and interest level, which is not surprising. It'll never mean Counter-Strike's a bad esport. It's just they've been at the top for a long time.
Yeah.
And so unless you're going to introduce something or do something, it's going to be hard to like continue to captivate an audience.
So here's a little fun fact, a little fun tidbit for you. CSGO came out August of 2012. So like you said, it's just over 8 years. I knew they just had their birthday. Source, the game for Counter-Strike Source, the one before Go, came out November 2004. So exactly 8 years later, not exactly, but 8 years later, Go came out. So by that method, you would have expected or at least heard rumors of a new Counter-Strike being worked on. There is no rumors that I have heard other than Source 2. And that's not Source 2. That's literally like an engine update, right?
They've created a monster with the economy in that game.
Of course.
And
I'm not saying they need a new one, but I'm just saying they're 8 years is normally time for a facelift. Whether that be Source 2, whether that be a rework of how you do your matchmaking and go with the standard season format that we see people, which I think is the way to go.
It's something, but it's still not enough. If they just like announced season, it would be nice. It would be a nice something.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be groundbreaking at this point.
No, but something from Valve at this point is better than what they have been doing for the last 8 years.
For them, they at least, I think, need to facelift on maps. Introduce a couple new maps into the pro scene. Introduce them onto the competitive side. Like bring some of the old ones back if you have to. Like find a way to get a facelift. It's
Yeah. You don't have to reinvent the game. Don't reinvent the wheel. Just breathe in some new air. Get some new life.
Every once in a while, you got to pump that sucker up.
Yeah.
And so
just a little Botox here and there, right? It's like so that's all you need. Also, fun little tidbit here, just because it's in front of me, because I googled the CS:GO release date. If ever you're feeling down about the game you're playing, like, man, Counter-Strike's been out since 2012, nothing's really changed. League of Legends been out since 2009. For the most part, it's still League of Legends. Well, at least there is some updates. For however little you complain for the updates for Counter-Strike or Go 2012, Team Fortress 2 came out in 2007.
2007.
We are going on. We're 7 years away from being 2 decades from TF2. And I think we're going to hit that point before we even hear about TF3.
I have one thing that even beats that now. I had my own anniversary here recently as well. 8 days ago, I got my 17-year coin on Steam.
Wow. I think mine's not that old because my brothers and I shared an account, so my older brother would have the older account. It's very impressive.
September 22nd, 2003. And I think the Steam release date was just like a month before that or 2 months before that.
I do remember I was on Steam with the old way, the green. Do you remember that? Like when it was green, like army looking green.
Yeah.
I remember they switched to the new Steam and I was like, this sucks.
I bet some of our listeners are younger than my Steam account for sure.
Well, I know 100%.
Yeah.
Doesn't that make you feel old?
Younger than my Steam account.
I have WoW characters that are older than our listeners. Some of our listeners. Shit.
Oh, Lord.
We are old.
We are.
We are old. All right. So there's you go. Some Ask Us Anythings. Great questions, everyone. Great questions. If you wanted us to elaborate on anything, hit us up in Discord or DM. We'll obviously be able to elaborate a little bit more. For next month, last Thursday of October, get those questions in. We'll write them down. We won't lose them, I promise. And again, doesn't have to just be esports. It can be anything you want. All right, so let's get into some e-news and knock this out real quick. In CSGO, the ESL Pro League for Europe have started. The playoffs, I should say, have started. Na'Vi beats Mousesport 2-1. After Mouse took the first map 16-5, and then they realized, we're Mousesports, guys.
Yep.
What are we doing? Complexity, though, against all odds, beats ENCE 2-1 after they took the first map 16-6. So Complexity showing up. They don't need OBO.
They do.
Probably would hurt. Big beats Spirit 2-0. Formerly #1 in the world, Big.
Mm-hmm.
And Heroic beats Astralis 2-0. 16-7 on both Vertigo and Nuke.
Every player on Heroic was in the positive. Every player on Astralis was in the negative for both, for both maps combined. That's pretty like for Heroic. That's a good win. Now Astralis falls to the losers bracket, and we'll have to work their way out of there
as they play Spirit tomorrow. And Mouse eliminates ENCE into the lower bracket 2-1. Heroic still using the coaching bug. That's what that tells me.
Wouldn't that be something?
I mean, these orgs are going to live with that.
Part 2 is not out yet.
It's just going to be the scarlet letter for these orgs. Anytime they play an online match, it's just going to be this coaching bug. Hey, can I give a one impromptu clutch or kick for you real quick?
Yeah,
clutch or kick, looking back, was dead set as an example for his punishment, because you also have to remember he was fired for using the bug. And all these other coaches...
Because he lied about it, and he didn't confess to all of it, and he confessed to a part of it. So no, he wasn't like a scapegoat. I think he still got off with 6 months?
Yeah. I think he's been one of the few, though, that the team isn't just we support him, we understand things.
The whole roster is gone. The timing of it couldn't have been worse in that sense. I think if the whole roster remained intact and they were playing well, yeah, he would have kept his job. But they've been shit for 3 years. Let's be real. It was time to go anyway.
Losing does not help your case. That is for sure.
He's got to go out with his boys in that scenario. They're all gone. You got to go with them.
Well, and maybe that's the best for him, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It will take him a couple months to rebuild that roster. They pick him right back up where they left off.
Yeah.
Because you know why, Anuj?
Top 30 in the league.
The players knew about it. That's why. In Valorant, Space Station Gaming completes their rosters. Just another big name in the Valorant scene. Space Station Gaming. Shout out Roka.
Roka. Yeah, Roka's a pretty good signing for them because he's he's playing also Counter-Strike at the highest level. So I always thought he was uber talented. You watch this guy on stream and he's a beast. So that's a pretty good signing for them.
The zombie reveal was official today. So we got the teasers.
Did you see any of it?
No.
It kind of looked cool.
It always
they do a good job. They did a good job on the teaser.
Always looks cool. Because zombie is cool for a weekend.
But it looks like it kind of changes your locations quite a bit in it. You're actively moving around. You know what? We're gonna try it together. We'll see how it is. We'll judge it then.
Maybe a good stream. Hey, you want to kill an hour or two? Let's stream some zombie. We can have fun and not rage.
We still rage, but yeah.
Different type of rage. Different type of rage. Folks, other breaking Valorant news. Your boy Tim lost his cool last night. It's been a while. The demons have been kept in their cages. I've been doing my breathing. Doing a good job. Last night though. It's been a while since I actively opened. Normally now I'm just yelling with my microphone off. Yesterday was the first time in a while I opened mic yelled at my teammates.
I've noticed I don't like any Jet players in the game.
No.
If you play Jet, chances are I don't like you. You're using a sheriff only, or you're using a shotgun. You're doing something stupid.
Yes.
And don't have time for it.
Was. I mean,
at our level, right, of where we're playing.
It was a rough day of Valorant.
It was,
and we were winning, and it was still just rough. We ended up winning both of the matches that I got toxic in, and it's just look.
We won the first one, we lost that second one because of that Jett.
Oh yes, you're right. It was just rough. It was rough. It happens to the best of us, though. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry for my actions. Okay, I just want to win. I'm a winner. ESL and DreamHack, in a weird announcement. I know, like, everyone read the announcement, and at the end, everyone was like, "So, what?" But ESL has announced that them and DreamHack are combining again. Like, they were already partners. So now I guess they're merging together to be called ESL Gaming. However,
to separate the branding.
But that's the other thing. In there, it didn't say that they were distinctively killing off the DreamHack name, which I think at this point you would be really silly to do so. Like, DreamHack as an event is its own thing, and I don't think you would ruin it. But I don't know.
They might just want to expand on the ESL branding, which probably makes sense because, like you said, DreamHack is a huge name, really, not just like in esports, right? Like, people know it as a gaming convention and all this other stuff. And so it might make sense, obviously.
What I gathered from the announcement, Anuj, was ESL was going to be the esports side of the events. DreamHack was going to be the LAN, the convention, all that. But the actual competing and all that will be ESL branded.
The only thing I care about is, are they coming to Dallas next year? Like, that's it. That's it. That's all my mind thinks
give
about.
Us a date.
When is our next DreamHack LAN?
And please, don't do it in the summer.
That's how I live my years. Is I'm like, hey, when's it? Oh, DreamHack 6 months from now.
I know.
Let me start that group chat.
And it's been, well, I mean, none of us went last year, but it's been 2 years now for you. Like, there's no excuses. I don't care.
I blame my cousin. She had to get married in Indiana, of all places.
Well, so, I don't. Even if your another cousin gets married, you're not going. Like, you're going to DreamHack.
We did an arranged marriage for my sister this year, so I wouldn't miss it next year.
Perfect.
Done.
Like, I don't care, COVID or not, you're getting married this year. So there you have it. Quick little e-news to get to after exhilarating Ask Us Anything. Again, always ask us those questions. We do a monthly. If we get a lot of them, maybe twice a month. But if we ever feel like, okay, we're getting too many, we'll always sprinkle them in here and there. Hit us up in the DMs, Discord, Twitter, whatever. We'll see it. We'll see it if you ask it. Even on YouTube comments, right? Doesn't matter. We will see them. We will be back Sunday night, talk some ESL Pro League finals for the EU side of it. Maybe some Valorant news. Maybe NRG makes things official. Have something to talk there. But all that will be done Sunday night live on our Twitch and YouTube. Podcast out on Monday as always. Love you all the same if you've skipped around. Jazzy Josh, good to hear from you again. Good to see you in chat. Thank you. But that does it. That does it for this episode. Episode 276 of the Center Ring presented by Alt. Check them out, altesports.com. For Anuj, I'm Tim. We'll see you guys. Love you.